I'm your host, Stephen Vanover, here on the Sports Talk Line Network, where we talk sports 24/7, 365. This is the Roundtable. We are doing the NFL Draft as we break down each of the divisions. Today is the AFC West. And wow, what a great division to be doing. They do have the Super Bowl champions involved, but they also have a team that is former Super Bowl champions. I'm talking about the Denver Broncos. And each one of our guest panelists today, I guess I should call you permanent panelists today since you've been on every show. Okay. Are going to take a team. We're going to break it down. Tom, representing New York City, you're going to start out with the Denver Broncos, former and pretty recent Super Bowl champions. How did their NFL draft go, Tom?
Well, Van, they started off their NFL draft with a bang when they selected wide receiver from Alabama, Jerry Judy. And then in the second round, they went with wide receiver KJ Hamlin out of Penn State. Now, one thing I think that's very unique about these wide receivers, if you include Cortland Sutton, he's 6'4", big body wide receiver. Jerry Judy, if you talk to people before the draft, he probably would have been the first wide receiver off the board. He stands 6'1". Now you got KJ Hamler, who works out of the slot and is also 5'9". So you got three wide receivers with three different distinct body types. So you got to wonder if that will be an advantage for the Denver Broncos as they go forward. You know, another selection that jumped out at me was center Lloyd Cushenberry from LSU. I felt like he could be a plug and play player in 2020 and going forward. You know, another one that was interesting for me for the Denver Broncos, I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name. Albert O, tight end from Missouri, 6'6", 258. I think he could be a very interesting piece going forward. You know, he got the size, you know, he has the speed. He just needs to translate that to on the field play. Now, Josh, how do you feel about Jerry Judy? Do you think his draft stock falling is something to be concerned about from the beginning of the year, or do you see him developing into a solid pro?
I see him developing into a really solid pro. He's an exciting wide receiver to watch. As a former wide receiver, I was never a guy with the wheels. It always had to be about precision route running. So when you get guys that know how to run routes, it's really fun to watch. I thought that was him falling into the Broncos' hands was an absolute steal.
All right. Now, Nate, I know Jerry Judy wasn't your favorite pick of the first round, but how do you feel? Do you feel Jerry Judy will live up to the hype and be a solid pro at the NFL level?
Listen, the Broncos have to get better on the passing side of the ball. They were in the bottom quarter of the league in every single passing statistic there was out there. They drafted a quarterback in the second round of the year before, a quarterback from Missouri, Drew Lock. Cortland Sutton was continually getting double teams. They needed to get better on the outside. So they went and got Jerry Judy, perfect fit for that. A guy with probably the most precise route running out of all the prospects this year. Plug and play, probably has an immediate impact. But my favorite pick was round 2. One of my favorite picks of the entire draft was KJ Hamler. A lot of people like to shit on the guy because he was so small. But you get the ball in his hands and he's dynamite. So I think he's another guy who's going to have an immediate impact. He doesn't have to be the number 1 or 2 player. He has Deshaun Jackson written all over him. And then, as you said, with Cushenberry, I think he's going to at least compete for a starting position. I think he should at least be a starter within the first few years in the league. I mean, those 3 picks alone, you have to get better on the passing side of the football. I can easily see this jumping up at least 10 points in every passing statistic. Otherwise, you suck, Drew Lock.
Now, let me ask you this question, Van. Do you feel Jerry Judy will live up to the hype as a first rounder?
Oh, yes. Hands down. That's an easy call. And, you know, you're right. He did drop in this draft. But name me a wide receiver that didn't. In this draft, all of the wide receivers dropped just because there was so many of them. Now, if he would have had a precipitous drop of a round or 2, I think that would have been eye-raising. But, I mean, what was he, pick 15?
Yeah.
That's not much of a drop, man. I'm sorry. Not with the wide receivers as deep as they were during the NFL draft and them dropping as as far as they did. I mean, look at what happened to Dallas Cowboys. Who did they get?
I just
CD Lamb. CD Lamb. Okay. We
You
had
knew
to
it
work
was
that in
coming.
there. I was waiting for Spinksy to log in just for the moment to give the CD Lamb chant. Okay. So no, he will definitely, live up to it. Everything that Nate said, I just have to agree with it. Exactly why they went after him, the fact they went after him, and the fact that they got him. Just great drafting. I think that they really solidified. I love this entire draft class, as a matter of fact. I love what they did with it. Lloyd Cushenberry, the third. I definitely think he's going to fit in excellent. I love what you're saying about the tight end. I give this entire draft class, man, it's a real tough one to go between a B+ to an A-. And I tell you what, I went A-. That's what I'm giving it. And I think it's solid. But one thing I wanted to ask you, Tom, I'll flip it back to you. With all of these wide receivers, at different heights, what are you saying? We just put them all on one side of the field and it doesn't matter where the QB throws it? I mean, just.
No, I'm saying they provide different matchup problems.
Yes, yes, they do.
Because Cortland would probably be the one who could use his size over it. Judy is probably most of the blend. Well, I personally think KJ Hamler is going to be the toughest matchup problem.
Because and Nate, I'm sorry, Nate, I wanted Hamler to fall to the Chiefs. Would that have been awesome?
Oh, you mean in the second round?
Yeah. Oh man,
that'd just be unfair. You just have to respect him out there.
Now let me ask you this question. I'll start with Joshua for this. Who's going to be the better pro wide receiver, Jerry Judy or KJ Hamler?
That's a tough question. I gotta go Jerry Judy on this one. Did anyone else see how disappointed he was to have dropped to the 15th pick? Just on the live feed of him, his body language, he did not look happy.
Nate, how do you think? Who's going to be better, Judy or Hamler?
Judy, I think he's the more he has more tools in his box, and I think Hamler. Listen, I think he has explosiveness written all over him. He's a danger anytime he has the ball in his hands. But for my money, I think when it's 3rd down and 8, you're looking Judy, not Hamler.
Right. How about Van? Who do you think's better, Judy or Hamler?
Yeah, it's Judy. Hamler's going to be the more exciting player, though. That's what you were alluding to. It's the old thing. What did Phil Jackson do with Kobe and Shaq there? One was the most dominating, and the other was, whatever. You're splitting hairs, but Judy's going to get more targets. He's going to have bigger stats, but Hamler is going to be the highlight reel.
Mm-hmm. All right. I think for a grade, I'll probably give it a B+ range, because my one concern is I think their draft picks on the defensive side really didn't hit it. But this is, once again, they had a strategy. They need to upgrade the offense, which is something they did in their first 2 picks. And also I love the Cushenberry selection. I think that was a steal. But they need to improve their defense if they want to compete going forward against the Kansas City Chiefs. At least be able to stop them a time or two. But that's what I got for them.
Once would be good.
Yeah.
Once would be good. All right. Well, hey, let's keep working it around the room. Josh, you are up next. Mr. Joshua Griffith, Mr. LA Rams. We're sticking out here on the West Coast, sir. And you got another team you're going to be looking at this time. It's a team with the same logo, right?
Yeah. Well, he was got to bring out the damn logo.
I had to get that in at the top. Los Angeles Chargers playing in the same stadium, having the same logo, or should have. Anyhow, I think they ought to just give it to them, is what I think. But what about their draft? Did they do what they set out to do, or is this just not working?
I really like their draft this year. There's a lot of talk about Justin Herbert as a quarterback, and if he can translate it to the NFL game, he's too tall, he's too big. That's not where the league's going. I like his passing stats. I mean, I like his poise. His poise in the in the pocket there. I mean, the Chargers didn't draft. I think one of the things that kind of hurt me with giving them the draft grade I did, it would have been higher, but they needed to draft a little bit more help on the offensive line. I do love their second pick in the first round. Kenneth Murray, the linebacker from Oklahoma, is on. He's going to be sideline to sideline, coming out of game one, looking at 10 tackles. The guy is everywhere. So I really like him. Joshua Kelly, we'll see at running back. Van, you had a comment on Kenneth Murray?
Yeah, Kenneth Murray. I don't know if you guys remember when we were doing the draft live, man. I was like linebacker, Kenneth Murray, linebacker for like, I don't know, 18 picks in a row, some crap like that. It was 2 or 3 because it was just time to pick him. He was dropping, and then the Chargers snapped him up. I agree with you. I thought that was just a fantastic pick.
Yeah, and then another one I think a sleeper pick in the 5th round I really like is wide receiver Joe Reed. He's a little guy. I mean, he's only 6'1", but he returns kicks, and he returns kicks very well. And I mean, that's kind of an underrated talent in the NFL nowadays too.
Yes.
So I mean, for as it goes for draft grade, I would give them a B+. And like I said, it would have been a little bit higher if they had gotten some more O linemen. They did draft they didn't even draft an O lineman. So that's what I'm going to. I mean, I don't know how Nate feels, how they did.
Yeah, it was interesting when they traded up so far back into the first round. I was screaming. I don't remember what Van said because I was both high and drunk while this was happening. So I was screaming offensive lineman. I said offensive tackle, offensive tackle, offensive tackle. And then they go ahead. Right. They get Kenneth Murray. About Justin Herbert, though, I actually had a 2nd round grade on him. I understand the prospect of that. If you believe you have your quarterback, you go and get him with the 6th overall pick. Now, I compare him very similarly to Josh Allen. He has all the traits there. He has a strong arm, big, tall, athletic, smart. But at the same time, he just didn't dominate with those traits the way I would have liked to. He had a solid career in the Pac-12, not taking that away from him. But for my money, when you have those traits, I would like more domination. With Kenneth Murray, I like the prospect. The guy has amazing character. All the teams raved about you couldn't have a better character in your locker room. I'm just not convinced that giving up a 2nd and a 3rd round pick where you could have had more help was necessarily worth the jump up. Now, with that being said, the Chargers needed to get better at pass rush. Even though I know they have Joey Bosa and they have Melvin Ingram on the outside. They were 28th in the league last year in sacks, and they were in the bottom in turnovers as well. So and also in 3rd down conversion, they were at bottom quarter of the league. They need to find a way to get off the football field and don't give up as many points. That's going to be the determining factor next year if the Chargers succeed.
I thought Phillip Rivers kept him near the top of the league in turnovers. I'm confused. but no, Nate, I wanted to hit you back on the Herbert thing and follow my logic here. Okay. All right. Since the Chargers, all right, have been one of the more dysfunctional teams in the NFL for several years now. Even though they've had their runs and been good, there's been a lot of dysfunctional activity there. Wouldn't you say that getting a quarterback that is a 2nd round talent, even with the 1st round pick, is a good move? When you compare it, they could have had Ryan Leaf.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan Leaf is kind of a similar guy, though. I mean, he's the guy with.
But he's not a 2nd round talent. He's a 0 round talent.
I mean, what I'm talking about, there's very similarly. If you have traits, I think they're similar pro traits that teams find appealing.
Well, Ryan Leaf's actual physical traits and ability to throw the football and et cetera like that weren't the issue. His issue was his 5-cent head.
Right, and that's another thing we don't know. I haven't been in meeting rooms with him. Apparently, he's a very well-mannered guy. Scored about a 39 on the Wonderlic, so at least the mental acumen seems to be
38 more than me. I'm just
okay. I've heard enough. I've heard enough from you too. I want to hear what Tom thinks about the Chargers draft picks.
Well, it's funny. You're talking about someone selecting their quarterback with the 6th pick when they're a 2nd round talent. I'm trying to think if I've heard that story recently in previous NFL drafts. But I digress. You know, the one thing I keep on thinking, I'm always surprised when it comes to quarterbacks. I feel like a lot of people reach for them, or they just let them slide all the way down to like the 5th or 6th round. So I feel like it's the most like controversial position where it's like, all right, we got to go all in. All right, let's draft this guy. But I think, you know, getting back to the Chargers draft, you know, do you really think, you know, it looks, they brought in Joshua Kelly at running back in the 4th round from UCLA. Do you really see him coming in and being able to step up to be that number 1 running back, or is he just someone who will just play his role in the NFL going forward?
Well, they were able to find someone, a plug and play players throughout the years. I mean, that even usurped Melvin Gordon, who's now in Denver, actually. So I think he'll contribute, but it's possible they find the number 1 guy. That's the thing I love about running backs.
The running game was fine before Melvin. Matter of fact, once Melvin Gordon got there, the running game took a nosedive. It didn't step off a cliff, but it didn't get better. The running game was fine. The coach is a former running back. He knows how to find running backs and plug them in. I think the running game is going to be fine. It's all those other. It's the turnovers that, you know, were those Phillip Rivers' fault, or was it him trying to do too much because the team was in disarray? That is the question, and we're going to find out this coming year, right?
Hey, if Herbert throws half as many picks as Phillip Rivers, they'll do okay.
Oh yeah, but that would still probably make him number 1 of rookie quarterbacks. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, he threw a lot of picks last year. Rivers at 30 something, whatever. I mean, it was like around that. It was amazing. So what's everybody giving the draft grades on this? Okay. We got B+ from Josh, a B from me. Nate?
I give him a C.
And Tom?
I would say a B+. Not B+. Let me rephrase that. I'll probably go with the B-. You know, I kind of just say, you know what, we'll see if Herbert develops. You know, I think that's the big question mark. They got probably the 3rd best talent at that position. And also I think they didn't really address the offensive line. And, you know, we'll see what happens. You know, it's like when the Denver Broncos, they kind of had a strategy with, all right, we got to totally upgrade our offense to go up against Kansas City Chiefs are the number 1 team in that division now. So with this draft strategy, it's kind of like, all right, how are they going to try to beat the Chiefs, outscore them, stop them on defense? You really couldn't figure that out with this draft.
Yeah, you're right. I really did like the Broncos' cohesive draft about that. It was very clear what they were trying to do. And real quick, Josh and Nate, I didn't get your grades for the Broncos.
I have an A for the Broncos.
I went A- for Broncos.
A-. Okay. And next up, Mr. Nate, No Remorse Dowdy. Up is the Las Vegas No Remorse Raiders. What did their draft look like? Did it look about like Las Vegas, kind of like a ghost town, or was there lots going on there?
Well, let's put it this way: they have the Rams and they have the Chargers in LA, but we know that Raiders run LA. They're Los Angeles' team. My biggest issue with the Raiders, they're fantastic since Mike Mayock has been there, so this is only his 2nd draft. They've been fantastic in day 2 and day 3 in the draft. And then they'll drop the freaking ball day 1. I mean, go back to 2019. No one can convince me you could waterboard me Taliban style, and I will not admit Clelin Ferrell is not the 4th best player in the draft last year. That's just not the case. With that being said, they got the burner of the draft. I mean, you've been the traditional Raiders pick with Henry Ruggs III. I don't have an issue with that. I know there was a good fraction of the league that had him wide receiver number 1 in that draft, and he's nasty after the catch. So I really love that pick and gives you some immediate juice. But,
and isn't he the fastest wide receiver that was available? I just wanted to throw that out there. Okay.
So it fit that, but here's where it gets interesting. Again, I think they were all in at pick number 19 for A.J. Terrell, the Clemson cornerback.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Mayock gets a giant red rocket for Clemson players, but AJ Terrell got taken 16, and then the boneheadedness started. That's where they go Damon Arnett from Ohio State. Now, he's not even the third best prospect on that Ohio State defensive back, out of the defensive backs at Ohio State. So that was a massive reach right there. That's where it doesn't make sense. But then you moved to round 3 where they had 3 picks. They got great value with Lynn Bowden. They got more.
Yes.
So I'm really interested. This could be a huge boom right here, for the reason being, if John Gruden uses him correctly, they could just get a lot more speed. And then they got great value with the receiver from South Carolina, completely different. I can see him in a few years making a significant contribution. And then round 4, Amick Robertson. I know a lot of teams had him rated a lot higher on their board. They got him in the late 4th round. So again, rounds day 2 and day 3, aces. Day 1, some head scratchers. So what do you guys think about? I know, Van, you had your hand.
Oh, yeah, I'm ready to go, and then I'm going to pass it out because I'm going to be short and sweet. I'm saying I look at this draft, and I'm just like you, Nate. I think in the future, what Mayock ought to do is go take his best player and trade him away again, because, I mean, that's what Mayock does, right? Khalil Mack, whoever. And then instead, don't get multiple first-round draft picks. Get multiple third-round draft picks, because you suck in the first round, okay? There it is. I gave him a C- for the draft. I love the players they got late, just like Nate said. But when you miss on players you get late, okay, all right. When you consistently miss on first rounders, that's not good, man. That's not good. Now, I think Damon Arnett is probably going to end up having an NFL career. He will probably get a second contract. He may not, but he's not going to be worth that first round albatross that he has hanging around his neck. So it is what it is. They're the Raiders, first year in Las Vegas, and their draft suck. What do you think, Justin? I mean, Joshua. I'm sorry, Justin. I don't know where that came from. Justin.
Yeah, no, I'm with you guys on this. I mean, I like Henry Ruggs. That's a good draft pick. I mean, they're instant upgrade on offense there. I mean, and David Carr, there's another weapon for him. But yeah, that was a head scratch. Trade out of the first round if you're going to do that. They had some solid 3rd round and 4th round picks. I mean, they could have used some more of them. If it's a C+ for me, and it would have been higher if they had done better with that second first round. What do you think, Tom?
What do you think, Tom? If anything.
All right, I would say, looking at this, I see Ruggs developing. He'll probably get a second contract. We'll see if he becomes an all-pro caliber. I do like the strategy they went with, primarily either helping the wide receiver core or the secondary. But these are the Raiders. Apparently nobody loves them. They can't find a home. I think, I'd probably give them a C+. You got to remember, this is a franchise that, drafted Jamarcus Russell with the number 1 overall pick. So, there's certain things like whoever the Raiders pick, you're always going to be a little bit of a head scratcher and not so good. And also you got to wonder, should they have drafted a quarterback? Because Derek Carr has kind of been limbo. They don't know if he's the guy. Josh, how do you feel about that? Should the Raiders have drafted a quarterback?
No, they shouldn't have. But I just wanted to say, what did Jamarcus Russell do to people for that to be circulating now again? Like, the poor guy. I know he made all that money, but damn.
Oh, purple dank. That's what he did.
Yeah, exactly.
It's one thing to not be good enough through no fault of your own. It's another thing through fault of your own. That's what he did. Okay. And when you're number 1, oh yeah, there it is.
Well, the funny thing is Kirk Morrison tells a story, the former Raiders linebacker, about how the coaches didn't believe Jamarcus Russell was studying the tape. And so they went ahead and they sent him a blank tape. And then he goes and then they said, okay, review this overnight. Anyway, they asked him the next day, well, what did you think of the tape? And he goes, oh, yeah, good stuff. He goes, well, the tape was blank, right? And so they got caught with his pants down.
I would have put cartoons on, okay? Then he could have gone, no, I actually did watch it. It was good.
Put on some anime.
My big issue with the Raiders here is they needed to get better in two areas specifically. They were 24th
Drafting?
in the league last year in points total scored. So they needed more firepower on offense. They have a decent offensive line. They found a gem in the first round last year at running back. They needed more firepower on the outside. They think they've found that. However, they were also abysmal in the passing game last year. I mean, on defense, they were abysmal in the passing game. That's why they kind of reached for the cornerback. But I mean, still, trade back.
Well, and also at linebacker, they ended up, moving on from some solid linebacking talent and decided they wanted to get younger, et cetera. Now they did sign some guys in free agency, but I was expecting more attention to be paid to that in the draft. That didn't come up. Now, if Arnett ends up being, a top 10 guy or just, a really good guy, heck, even a first round talent, then I'll eat my hat here and more power to him. I mean, and heck, stranger things have happened. But overall, I'm just not pleased with this. Nate, what about you? How are you going to grade this draft?
Well, I think they covered one area. They think they covered both areas here. They think they covered the secondary, and they think they added more firepower. I'm not very high on Arnett. So I give him a B-.
All right. Not a bad all around. We're pretty close to each other. But now we move on to the best team, not only in the division, but in the NFL, the Kansas City Chiefs. And man, what's not to like about the team and about the draft, guys? What gets me about their draft is this. And Joshua, I'm going to throw it right to you after I just talk about this one aspect, and that is that Pete Rozell's vision was after a team wins the Super Bowl, they will go on, and he wants to even the playing field, parity. That was his vision, and it has made the NFL the number one league in the world because of the parity. Any team can win any season. It's not like all the other leagues and all the other sports in that one regard. And so the key element that he did to make this happen was in the draft, you're going to get the last pick of every round. And the Chiefs go, and so you shouldn't be able to get a transcending talent, somebody that's really going to make you a lot better. And they went and added a piece in running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire out of LSU. I think that is going to make that offense a lot better, a lot more dangerous. How is that fair?
It isn't. If you want an example, go back to 2018 when the Chiefs took the lead by storm for the first time. Kareem Hunt was one of the backbones of that team, both in the running and passing game. Edwards-Helaire has similar traits. So I think they're looking back at the 2018 tape and they're saying, let's take this motherfucker again.
Makes sense to me. And if I'm going to call Joshua Justin and have Nate answer for him, then I'm going to call Tom Tim and let you go next. Okay. Right? Okay.
Yeah, I guess so.
So Tim, what were you going to mention there?
All right. I think, I did see a story, basically who they consulted on this pick. When the pick came up, they called up Patrick Mahomes. And they're like, all right, which guy would work best here? And he recommended Helaire. So that's one thing where it's like, you know what? Mahomes needs to be your homeboy. If you want to stay in Kansas City, Mahomes, he already got the MVP, already got the Super Bowl championship. Now Mahomes is not even 25, 26, and he's setting himself up to build a dynasty in Kansas City. So you know what? It makes a lot of sense to listen to him going forward.
It wasn't that big of a choice. It wasn't that big of a choice, though, Tom, because it was a choice between Helaire or me. So, no, it really wasn't that big a thing. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
But so anyhow, Joshua, seriously, what do you think about this? Just this first round pick right here.
I liked it. I mean, Andy Reid is so used to picking late, not this late in the draft, mind you, but he's pretty good at picking late and getting some good talent out of it. So I like this pick as a running back. 32nd pick, you're getting some pretty good value for that.
Bang, nailed it, man. When you look at Helaire, he's a stud, and he's an all-purpose yard guy. He got like, was it 55 receptions last year, almost 700 yards on the ground, quite a few carries, averaged, I think, 4.5, a little bit more. The kid can do it all. It's just great. Then the next round, you get linebacker Willie Gay Jr. Now, this is a guy that checks all the boxes. Now, he didn't get to put up as many stats as you would have liked to have seen from a guy who is as fast as he is, big as he is, strong as he is, instinctual as he is, because he has this little suspension issue in the NCAA. I don't know what it is. He had that thing with the tutor and that he got suspended for, and then he got into an altercation with the QB, whatever. But, Andy Reid has never shied away from guys that are rough around the edges, shall we say. He got a guy here with a lot of football talent coming to a team that's what they value, football talent. I like the second round pick as much as I like the first round pick. Offensive tackle Lucas Nying. He's a big old guy, man. He checks all the boxes. He's going to slide in there and just do really well for them. Then they got safety cornerback L'Jarius Sneed, and he is fast. I think it's 4.34, 4.36, something like that. That will turn heads. But he's not a real physical guy. That's why I see him maybe being slid to corner, because he is an excellent zone coverage guy. Not that great at man-to-man, to be frank, but zone coverage, he's definitely good. Edge, Michael Dana, he has good weight, but he's a little on the short side at 6'2". He does not have that great first step. He doesn't have great long speed either. But what he has is a motor that has no off switch. That guy gets out of the bed moving, and he doesn't stop until he shuts his eyes. The kid is going to be awesome on special teams and may work into the rotation. But now the last pick, cornerback Bo Peep Keys. How can you not like that name, Nate? Bo Peep Keys. Come on. That's awesome right there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fantastic, Van.
All right. I knew you'd like it. But he's a guy, he's got height, and he's got an unusual wingspan, and he is great in press coverage. He smacks down balls left and right, which is good because he's not very good at catching them. There's a reason he's on defense. I think he has like 1 interception a year or something like that. But he smacks down a ton of footballs. So this is a guy that I think is going to sneak into the rotation, 6'1", 202 pounds. You can put him man on man, anybody, anywhere, because he can just stick to the guy. And I really like this guy. You got him with the last pick of the draft. Wow. I just think that's really impressive. I gave them an A- overall. Let's work it around. Josh, what'd you give them and why?
I gave them an A. I like their draft. When you have the last pick in the rounds, you got to do your homework. They did their homework. I really like the offensive tackle pick. He could, he'd be a nice, solid depth player right now for them and could possibly move up. So, yeah, I'll give him an A.
All right. Tom, New York City got to say about it.
I'll give it a B+. The reason why is because I still think with the first pick, they played into their strength. They're more designed to outscore you. And until someone beats them, that's the philosophy they're going to go with in the first round. But also, they still did add some pieces on defense, which does make sense. As great as Spagnuolo is, he needs some talent to at least, contain the other team. Willie Gay Jr., Chiefs made a trade to pick him up. That's probably going to be the one that's going to determine how successful this draft is.
Yeah.
6'1", 243, maybe not the highest graded linebacker, could be a little bit of a reach. Lucas Nying, that kind of is a little bit surprising because the Chiefs already got Fisher and Schwartz under contract at tackle going forward. And also, I think with the depth at tackle, they probably could have gotten a better one going forward. But if you got 2 guys signed for at least 2 more years, maybe you could have addressed another need on the roster. But it's also, Andy Reid, he jumped up to grab Mahomes and he cashed in on it this year. So he has that draft equity. So that's what I think about the Chiefs.
All right. Well, Nate, man, and Tom, that was really a great explanation. I agreed with quite a few of your comments there. Nate, Willie Gay Jr., is he going to spend more time on the All-Pro list or on the commissioner's list?
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, if an organization's going to take a risk on a player, you have to have a culture built in the locker room. And that's what the Chiefs have. They have a solid foundation and a solid culture. So they did their homework with the guy. And if the Chiefs need to improve on something, they need to improve in the run game, the run defense. They were
Yes.
24th in the league last year in the run defense. And if they want a chance at repeating, that's an area where they could need to at least shave a good 10 points off in the rankings. So I like the pick. The other guys I think could have been quite a bit of a reach. I would like to see that third round tackle potentially kick inside for a few years if they could get some value out of him that way. With as Tom said, with both the tackles, the interior of the line is still, I wouldn't call it a weakness, but it's definitely not a strength. They can improve. It'd be interesting to see if immediately they plug him inside.
You make a good point. When Mahomes has been injured, it's through pressure up the middle, I believe, that got to him. So there you go. But I will throw you this. I disagree with you totally about their run defense. Mahomes is their run defense. It's pretty damn good. I mean, there you go. I mean, you may think you're going to be able to run. Go ahead. Okay. Yeah. Make his millennium. He's pretty awesome. So what's your grade, Nate?
Gosh, I'm going to give him a B.
A B. All right. Well, with that, the Broncos become the NFL draft winner, the offseason NFL draft winner of the AFC West. We'll be dealing with the teams later on their outlook. That's a pretty damn awesome way to go all the way around. Nate, No Remorse Stouty, thank you so much for being here, sir. People listening, you can find him on @NoRemorseSports on Twitter. There it is. And Tom, thank you. And thank New York City for you being here. People can find you on Twitter @defense_com. As always, a pleasure, sir. And Mr. Joshua Griffith. They'll find you on Twitter @JoshuaGriffith0. Joshua Griffith0. A great follow. And you'll also watch him on the soccer feeds. Wow, this guy lives sports. Check out that wall behind him. Not bad, not bad. All right. And for everybody watching right now, thank you. Be sure and hit that subscription, hit that bell, subscribe, notify, do all the things on all the social media platforms. Thank you so much for being here. You're the reason this works. Until next time, listen and watch like you play with intensity. Bye now.